Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today I being joined once again by Trevor, who has brought his take on Majin Buu. Like being said, there's buttons on down below, feel free to click them. Trevor, take it away.
Yeah, so every set that there's Majin Buu, I'm going to play it, whether it's good or not. It's kind of up in there on how good this is versus not good. There are a bunch of really rough matchups that it has, but it's really good against not those matchups. So leader, since it's a new leader, I will talk about it. Auto once per turn, place one card from your life underneath it, draw two. So it's a draw two leader. You won't see that card unless you have it, unless you're able to play that card from the drop area. So it's kind of negative in that sense, but there are a lot of cards that you could do that with inside of green, so it's actually not that bad. Activate main once per turn for Spirit Boost 1. Place one battle card with energy cost of 4 or less from your opponent's drop area. Underneath this card, choose one of that card's keyword skills and gain it for the turn. So you can grab crit, double strike primarily. That's what you're going to be going for. Probably blocker won't do you any good on your turn. So awaken when you're at 4 or less life, flip it over, draw one, and untap one energy. The only difference is on this side, when it swings, you draw a card instead of doing the life thing. The Spirit Boost can also target battle area cards on this side with 4 or less. Doesn't ignore barrier, just to say that. Activate main once per turn. Place 2 cards under this card in the drop area. This card gains plus 5k until the start of your next main phase, so you basically have a bean through your opponent's turn. The Unison package we run on this are 4 Bobbity and 2 Vegeta Resolute Agent of Destruction. The reason we run the Bobbity is this is a very Spirit Boost centric deck. So you want to have a bunch of markers as consistently as possible, and this has the ability to kind of protect itself because of another card that you have in the deck. You're able to use this activate main +2, choose one Majin Buu card with energy cost or with an original power of 15k or less in rest mode, gain servant, so it'll gain 25. The permanent basically says if that servant card is in play in rest mode, your opponent can't attack this card, so they have to get rid of that card. We run Vegeta Agent of Destruction, basically as one of your mini game enders. It also blows up your opponent's side of the field when you drop a card. 20k double strike crit, or 25k if you use the +1. The -5 came up once in testing, just to get rid of 3 cards, so it was more consistent game win. This moves us into the Buu engine. These are the Union Absorbs. This one draws one. This one searches top 5 for Majin Buu with an energy cost of 4, or energy cost of 5 or less. So you're able to hit all of the new green Majin Buus with that. The Union Absorb, you choose one card that's underneath your leader, place it under this card, search out the 4-drop, play it on top of this card. That 4-drop, the only one that presently exists because it specifies 4-drop with 15k power, is this card. Hoping they'll give us another one with a little bit more protection, because this one, it needs barrier. To survive in a world with red that negs cards, your permanent won't help you. Permanent, if this card would be removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill, you may remove a Majin token from the game instead. The only issue is your Majin token is going to come from your activate main, so if they play Yamcha Merciless Barrage, he's gone. You just can't do anything about it. Auto, when this card is played, add up to 1 green Unison card with the specified energy cost, or with 1,000 power, so you'll find your Bobbity. If you do, you drop a card from your hand. A lot of the time I found myself grabbing a Bobbity and dropping the Bobbity, just to thin my deck out to get my other pieces that I really wanted, because the Bobbity is probably going to stick in most matchups, and the matchups where it's not, you don't want him anyway, because this card's probably gone, your Bobbity's going to die regardless of whether or not you keep it in your hand. I ran this card. I have never once used it. Unless I cast it for 2 because they played a Yamcha Merciless Barrage and I had to go into my 4-drop to kind of try and stabilize the game out. The same Union Absorb plays this 4-drop either from the drop or deck. It's definitely important. Auto, if one of your green cards, one of your green Majin Buu cards is removed from the battle area by an opponent's skill. Play this card from your hand. So, but it's a Spirit Boost 1, so your Majin or your Babidi Unison is going to have to be on board for this to come into effect. The issue is that this 4-drop also has remove a token when it's removed by an opponent's skill, so that's going to be your protection piece. The things that get around that, this doesn't help you with. So, negging basically. If your 4-drop Majin Buu gets removed by a neg, this effect won't proc because it's removed by a game mechanic, not by a skill. So I'm finding myself never using this because these other cards have enough protection in them. This will definitely get cut. I'm running 3 of those, mostly just because I feel like 3 is more than enough. Permanent, same sort of thing. You can remove a token from the game instead of this card being removed by an opponent's skill. Auto, when this card is played from your hand, play a token. And you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards and place it under this card. Nice small amount of removal. The activate main is how you're playing it. If you have 3 or more energy, you choose one card from underneath another one of your cards, so either that or that, if this somehow didn't come out, to actually play him, you'd place that card in your drop area that's underneath him. It's just a 20k token generator. Since this deck requires Spirit Boost pretty much to run, I am presently running 4 of the Hercule Majin Exterminator. I still think I would run 4 of the Hercule Majin Exterminator in this deck, even with some of the changes that I would do if I kept the Buu engine in it, simply because you need Babidi's markers to stay up. So you Spirit Boost, you can use this to place it underneath it, put a card, or put a marker back on it, and draw a card. You lose the plus 10k in a battle, but you can kind of keep your early game if they're going really crazy wide to try and keep it alive. And definitely have done this a lot. Now we're kind of getting into this card. I love it. Maybe not in this version of the deck. The Deflect Revenge, of course, is great because if they want to swing into this card, they're losing the card if they're going to KO it that way through the Revenge. The permanent is when this card is in rest mode and your opponent can't attack your leader card unless they choose 2 cards in their hand and discard them. So they're probably going to have to swing into this or use a skill to remove it. But if it's removed, you can play it from your drop. The only issue is that this is going to come in an active mode, so this auto is, or permanent, is no longer relevant. The auto, when this card is played from your hand, choose all non-token cards, basically. Unisons, battle cards, field cards, all of it. Ignoring barrier, negate their skills, place them in their drop area. Then your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand and places it, discards them, but since your leader is a mono green Majin Buu card, they're placed under your leader instead, which basically gives you the activate main plus 5k. So between this on turn 5, being in rest mode, they're going to have to drop a lot of cards if they want to swing into your leader. They're also swinging into a 20k leader in that situation. That's usually whenever I found myself using that second activate main on the leader. I think the card's great. I think it's going to be better in just general hand control decks than it is in this deck. Defensive package. Freeze a charismatic villain. Y'all know what it does. I'm sure it was already even in the span of videos this week. 3 dormant potential. Could go up to 4. I think 3's okay. Wicked Mimicry. I found myself using the Spirit Boost on this once, I think, in testing. Because they got rid of all my other Majin tokens. So they were able to... they would have been able to remove my card by skill if they wanted. Then they swung again for some reason. Not, I guess, probably thinking this card doesn't exist. So I just countered it, played another token. So it comes in handy occasionally. I find myself the permanent at the bottom being more useful if they manage to swing into the Unison after getting rid of all your other stuff. You can instead drop a card to use the counterattack to prevent your Unison from dying. Green Topo. Great card, especially if you somehow manage to play 2 of them in one turn. because your opponent at that point will be dropping 4 cards per swing instead of 2. The great thing about this in this deck in particular is this Union Absorb, same one as all the other ones. So you not only get this effect, but if he stays on board, you can go back into that 4-drop out of your drop area. Homicidal Clones. You want to get to 4 life anyway. Once you're at 5 and your opponent's, you don't want to take the double strike or whatever that your opponent's about to swing at you because they want, to min-max their ability to keep you from getting the most out of your Awaken. This will just help, brings you down to 4, and you have a blocker that turn. Tech Pieces. I actually think this card succeeds in this deck. It has Deflect, so it's hitting the board. It has a triple strike and the Servant. So when you swing with this, your Bobbity is pretty safe because this is a 30k rested card. If you also have your 4-drop Majin Buu, that's a 25k with the +2 off your Unison. So you have a lot of protection for your Unison if you establish both this and the other one. That said, I would still only use this if your opponent needs their Unison, just for that auto down at the bottom. Most times I would find that the Vegeta Unison, if you have it in hand, is probably more effective than this, unless you really want to remove your opponent's Unison and then go for game with this 30k triple strike. Another tech piece, 1-drop Kakunsa, draw a card, activate main. Once per turn, burst 2 if your opponent has 8 or more cards in hand, and 3 or more energy, gains 16k and double strike. Use this for basically just recursion or drawing a card. But this activate main did come in handy once tonight because I basically forced my opponent into using a negate that they might not have used. And this is against a 1-cost energy in that situation. So you basically force your opponent into using it on this instead of your other cards that are probably better than this. Such as if you bait out that negate, this is the Overwhelm choice I'm using in this deck presently. If you own the Bardock, cool, use that instead. This is just a budget alternative at $3 right now. Overwhelm 6, crit double strike. That on top of your Unison Majin Vegeta with a crit double strike. If you manage both of those in the same turn, they're probably going to have to take one depending on the matchup. So this feels really good to have in the deck right now, just in combination with that Majin Vegeta. SCR I'm running presently is the Kibito Kai Absorb because it's new and I wanted to try it out. Ultimate, of course, double strike. The evolves just for lore, as we've been told. Same permanent as most of them nowadays. The auto spirit boost 2 when this card is played from your hand. If you take the 2 markers off your Unison, choose one of your opponent's Unison cards and gain control of it. The only time I'd use this, in my opinion, is probably against Gohank's Unison, for sure. And then the maybe the Majin Buu 4-drop blue Unison, which is also very good. Because your Unisons are great as well, so you typically want to keep your own on the board, but those 2, definitely take. I personally would love to take a Gohank's Unison one day, just to make my opponent cry. Activate main battle, tap 2, play this card from your hand. Your opponent can't attack with battle cards for the turn. Activate main battle. I ran into this tonight. I thought it was a counterattack because I can't read my cards. So if they swing with a double or triple for game, this is not going to save you. You're going to have to combo out of it and use this. So I'm kind of on the fence with this. I'm going to keep testing a whole bunch of green SCRs and maybe even Heroine's Lineage and see what I like best. Just make sure you think this one through. If they swing with their leader first, then use this. Take advantage of that. But if they see Throat and they're going to go for Throat, this isn't going to help you.
All right. With that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Keep in mind, there's buttons. Feel free to click them. There's videos on the screen as well. So as we lead you off, read your cards, know your plays, and fluff out.